What's going on, guys, man? I appreciate y'all coming.
I appreciate you inviting me down here.
Yeah, man.
It's been a while since I've been here.
It's been a minute since we've done something like this, too. So those that don't know, I'm Ronald Hicklin. Introduce yourself.
I'm Chris, the expert bowler Muldrow.
George GGIII Gohagan III.
Yeah. And today we're going to do what we call a conversation with. And basically what it is we're just going to have a real conversation about various topics. The topics can range anything personal, anything not personal, bowling related, of course. And the idea is to give the viewers some additional insight into things that they may not have a lot of insight into. Interesting, Chris, you are currently on staff with the ball manufacturer. And George, you've been on staff with several manufacturers throughout your time. So one of the questions that I want to kind of start this conversation off with is just maybe describing each of your guys' experience with being on staff, and then maybe we'll transition more into, like, you know, with you not being on staff, kind of some of the differences you've seen maybe with equipment or maybe just in general, you know, being able to get bowling balls being on staff versus not. So, Chris, why don't you lead us off since you currently are on staff? Because people don't realize it's not easy to get on staff.
No.
Right?
Correct.
But once you're on staff, what does that even really mean?
So, I mean, essentially it's a contract, right? So you sign a contract with a company saying that you'll exclusively use their equipment, that you'll represent their brand. If you're affiliated with a pro shop, that you'll have like whatever their pro shop program is, and that you'll help them when they need help with demo days and stuff like that. There are some benefits, like you do receive product, right? So free products, whether that's apparel or bags or bowling equipment, you will receive some of that, as well as you do get some extra information to be able to help you with building the arsenal and drilling your bowling balls, things like that that you might not have at home unless you have a coach or a really knowledgeable pro shop that has the time to help you with that stuff. So those are, you know, pretty much the benefits. If you're a PBA player and you make a show or you win, you know, certain tournaments and stuff like that, even as an amateur, you could, there's some monetary incentives as well. It's nothing, you know, really to write home about, but you can, you know, get some incentives from being on staff.
And what's been your experience, George? You've been on staff with multiple ball manufacturers.
For the most part, my staff experiences have been okay. I haven't had really too many bad experiences. I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of people, got to throw a lot of cool products. I mean, from being on staff, when I was first on staff with Hammer in 2002 to my recent contract that ended this year, the game is definitely different as far as just a lot of things, what product you can get, how much product you can get, what they require of you to get said product. But the game is different, man. And to see it evolve ultimately made me make my decision to leave staff. It had nothing to do with the company I was with. They made exceptional equipment. I had a great relationship with all of them, but I just wanted to do something for myself for once. This is actually my first time in my career not being on staff since my first adult tournament. So it's new. It kind of got me excited to bowl again because I got to drill all these new balls and see a bunch of different shapes that I haven't seen in a long time. But yeah, I mean, when I was on staff, there was a lot of different separate companies. Now there's 3 big companies.
Right.
You know, so that changed the game as well. So not only are you repping just one company, you're repping all kinds of stuff.
A brand.
A whole brand,
brands,
you know. So,
brands, yeah.
and it wasn't like that. It was just that one brand, and that's all you could throw. Now you're signing, you can throw 7 different brands here. You can throw 3 different brands here. So, yeah, it's just been different, but it's eye-opening for sure.
So like, if you were a player, let's talk a little bit, because people may not know, like, how good of players you guys are. So, like, Chris, tell us a little bit about some of your accomplishments, your average. Like, how did you end up getting on staff?
You know, I think the way that you technically, probably the easiest way to get on staff is through a pro shop. So if you're affiliated with a pro shop, that's one of the easiest ways to have an opportunity at a staff contract. My first staff contract was with Roto Grip, which I got through my local pro shop. I was with Ebonite for decades, and then now I'm with Brunswick, and I've been with Brunswick for probably 7 or 8 years. But you got to get out and bowl. I mean, you can't get a staff contract without getting out, being visible, bowling, and being a good steward of the sport. They want people who are excited about bowling, that talk about bowling, that kind of live bowling, right? Where you can help to be a representative in your local area for the brand that you represent. So you can't do that if you're not visible and you're not active. When I first started, they didn't have this social media like this, so that wasn't really a requirement and a thing, but having a big social media presence can also be helpful, you know, as well as getting out and bowling.
And experience, I mean, qualifications wise? So, like, you are a good bowler.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a decent bowler. You know,
You're the
I average
expert
240,
bowler.
you know what I'm saying?
You're the expert bowler, man. Put some on it now.
Yeah, you know, so I got probably 75, 300 games and 50 or 60, 800 games. I've won a bunch of local tournaments, made the finals at the TAC before. I got a decent little bowling resume, nothing too crazy. I did research and development with Ebonite for over a decade, so I'm pretty well versed in the industry. I'm a certified coach. I've done multiple like coaching classes and clinics with kids and stuff like that. So I've managed and ran a bowling alley. So I worked for Brunswick, actually in the bowling center in the Chicago metropolitan area. So my whole life has been bowling, you know. Yeah. So it's just kind of one of those things where I was in the industry and I got some opportunities and met the right people, and those relationships kind of, you know, benefited me over the years.
Yeah.
And what about you, George? It's
all about meeting the right people. I mean, that's how I ultimately got on staff with Brian Graham and Hammer. And then when I re-signed with Brunswick, it was with Brian Graham again.
Okay.
I've been with Storm. I've been with Track, Columbia, when those were separate companies. So I've had a lot of years on staff with different 900 Global before they got absorbed by Storm. So I've had a lot of experiences with a lot of different people. I agree about you know, you got to be visible, know a lot of people. Now I don't think it's so much about the bowling though. It's about what you can do for the company, how you can help them sell bowling balls. Back before, I felt like it was like, that guy's a good player, we need him to showcase this equipment. And there weren't very many staffers in the city. Now things have changed. There's quite a bit of staffers. Some cities are oversaturated, if you ask me. And a lot of people get on staff because of who they know, not what they do, I think. Well, that's my opinion. But, you know, that's just me looking from the outside in now.
We'll talk about, like, I mean, you got some accolades, too. You've done a lot of things.
I've gotten lucky a few times in my life.
Well, people don't know that, and I know you don't want to brag on yourself, but they need to have an understanding of the type of people that we're talking to, too.
I have 2 USBC Eagles.
Correct.
Team all events. I have 2 PBA regional titles, 250, 300 games, 188, 800 series, 899 to my credit. So I've done some things on the lane.
What's your current average?
252 was what I finished with last year at South Point. Probably the most strikes I've ever thrown in a year. Second time I've ever averaged 250 for a whole season. I told you, like halfway through the season, I thought I was going to catch that 261 because it was getting real. It was getting real. I mean, I was 800 after 800, but yeah, it was a fun season bowling, especially only bowling once a week. You know, it's cool to go in, throw my 3 games, strike a bunch, and go home. You know.
I mean, 250's 10 strikes a game. So.
A bunch.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need the accolades. I mean, when I first signed on, they didn't have guys who averaged 180, 190 on staff. But now they have different levels of staff too, advisory, regional, you know, different levels of it. So, I mean, some people on staff, because they have a big social media presence, they can sell those bowling balls. They can bring people to the table to say, hey, I want to get that product. But then you got to have the guys who actually strike with the product. Because if I go get the product and you're getting 6 with it, I'm probably not going to buy it. Just being real with you, you know. But you got to have those guys. If I see a guy's got 300 every week with that ball, I'm probably going to go drill it. So, I mean, I get both sides of it as a business. That's why I said the game has just changed, you know.
I think that's spot on. Like somebody who's been in the industry as long as I've been able to see it, right, on both sides, right? Been on the side of manufacturer, bringing people in to be on staff, and then, you know, being on the outside now, working on the other side of it, have a pro shop, have a bowling center, you know, our manufacturer, those kind of things. It is interesting because I would tell you from what I see as well, right? Like, I mean, both of you guys are better bowlers than I am. I don't think I'm terrible, but both of you are better players than me, and we get balls, right? We get all the balls. But the companies are doing that because they feel that social media presence matters. So we do ball reviews on every single ball on all the companies. We have some requirements that we have. So we don't per se have like a contract like you do per se, Chris, but we've got rules that we've got to follow too. But the point is, the ball companies are expecting me, to be able to sell bowling balls for them.
Correct.
So that's one way to get get products. So having a good, strong social media presence does matter now. Whereas
it helps a lot.
Maybe not. Maybe you don't have to average 240 anymore.
Correct.
You know, I mean, you're 240, you're 250, I'm 220 plus, but at the same time, I've got a big social media following. So it is a little bit different, and I think people forget a lot of times that when somebody's going to give you something, because what you're wanting is all these free balls and the free bags and the free apparel, it's not free, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not free. None of this stuff is free. So if a company is giving you something, they're expecting something back. Whether that's you positively reviewing the product, whether that's you spreading it to your social media, whether it's you going out and being a steward to the community about it, they are not giving you said ball that's not free for you just to have and use, and that's it.
Yeah.
Go win tournaments and not tell anything about it. Like, people forget that. And, the other thing about that is the ball companies are all in the business to make money. Yeah. So they got to be selective with that, which I think goes back to what both of you guys said, which people hopefully are paying attention to, because it does come down to relationships. Yeah. It does come down to who you know and being able to foster and build that relationship. And depending on what you can bring to the table, I'm not going to shoot 300 every week, but I can bring a following of people. You have a great personality, Chris, where people just naturally kind of gravitate towards you, right? So that's something that you can bring to the table. And you, George, you strike 10 times a game, so if you throw it, it's going to be a good ball. So they're just going to believe it anyway because you're striking with it. So, I mean, in each scenario, we all can bring a different piece to the puzzle that then could warrant a ball company saying, hey, let me give you a bowling ball.
For sure.
Yeah.
So let me ask this. So, you, George, now you were kind of a free agent, so you're able to throw all bowling balls. So being able to throw all bowling balls, do you think that that's more advantageous to be able to throw them all? Not barring the fact that you have to buy them or not buy them, but just, is it better in your opinion to be able to throw all of them? Or did you like it better when you were kind of more into just one, family or brands, or group of brands?
Well, I kind of feel the same as when I was on staff, because there was so many options. I had 7 brands to choose from anyway. And I drilled more balls in those couple of years from absorbing those other brands than I had ever drilled. So a lot of balls, I mean, they just got shot under the radar. I mean, it might be good, but then here comes 5 more, and I'm drilling those, and now the 5 I just drilled that were good, I'm not throwing them. They're just sitting in my garage. Now I'm able to pick and choose what I want to drill. I'm drilling balls not because they're freshly released. I'm drilling because I think it's going to fit in my game now. A lot of that's because I'm paying for them. So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not buying 10 balls a month. Yeah, I mean, it can be a big advantage, but it can be a disadvantage because since I've been off staff, I've drilled like 20 balls. So that's a lot of bowling balls too, but it's going to slow down for sure. But now, like I said, I'm able to pick and choose what I want to drill.
So let me ask you this then. So like you said, you pick and choose. How do you pick and choose now?
I talk to you. You know what I'm saying? But I got a lot of friends in the industry. When I first started throwing the storm balls, I hollered at Simo. Hey, right. My man, what's good with these? Brett Spangler has been a help with, learning me about the motive balls. So ball review videos are great. I watch yours all the time. I mean, not because we're just friends, but they're just informational. There's some out there that aren't as informational. We'll leave it at that. But just to see other good bowlers throw these balls in the wild helps me too.
Right.
So now when I was watching Simo just bowl, and I was on staff, I was just, oh, he's striking. But now I see Simon, like, oh, what's he throwing now? Oh, maybe that ball will work because I can actually go drill it now.
Correct.
You know, so that helps a ton.
And Chris, obviously, you know, you're on staff, but you're able to get all of the balls from, you know, these 7 different brands. So like, how does that make you feel when it comes to choosing equipment and then deciding, you know, which ones you want to throw and which ones you don't want to throw? Because though you can get all of them, if you want to get it outside of your brand, correct me if I'm wrong here, if you want to get outside of your brand, you've got to kind of pay for those other balls, right?
Correct.
Okay.
If I want to get a ball outside of the brand that I'm assigned, which is Brunswick, that I'm assigned to, I do have to actually buy the balls. You know, I think that for me specifically, the Brunswick balls are a little more rollier, or at least they tended to be. Now that we got a little more back in now. But them being a little rollier was kind of better for my game, which it worked out for me kind of drilling more of the Brunswick balls. Now, there are times when I have non-Brunswick balls. It's usually one of the lower end balls because I wanted a little more shape down lane for when the lanes start to dry up. You know, I feel like at the level that I'm at, that George is at, we could pretty much figure out how to make it work. There are times when you definitely need a ball that's a little more angular. When it comes in handy, you can strike a little more. It gives you an opportunity to win more. That's really what it comes down to. You get the perfect ball reaction, you strike more than everybody else, and you win more. Instead of just cashing, getting checks, grinding through. You know, so it can be more profitable if you can make the right choices. But I think that it's a double-edged sword because as you have 7 brands to choose, that's 35 more balls.
That's a lot of balls.
50 more balls, 100 more balls. And, I mean, it's very difficult to pick which ball you want, which one's going to fit what you need in your arsenal. Even with watching all the ball reviews from everybody and looking at the numbers and talking to the people, I mean, it's still really hard to know. So what I tend to do is I tend to just wait a little bit and kind of do a little more research and then say, you know what? I think this ball actually will fit this hole I have, and then I'll get that ball.
About filling the gaps in your bag.
Yeah,
instead of just drilling balls to drill them.
And see, and then like, you know, myself, I'm in a different position, right? Because we basically get all of the balls from all of the companies, right? And then I'll throw them all, which is interesting because what I would say is that the companies themselves are different. Like the brands of Brunswick, their performance is not inherently the same as 900 Global Storm Rotor-Grip performance, which is not the same as Motive performance. So there are some distinct differences, and I think I can see advantages and disadvantages of being on staff, right? I've always said personally, like myself, I would prefer not to be on staff because I want to be able to have the option to choose the best that there is. You know, and right now there are specific balls that are in my arsenal that are diverse from the brands. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're a Storm guy and you can't throw a Purple Hammer, I mean, at one point that was a massive disadvantage, like 100%. Without question.
Oh, for sure.
You know, at the same token, if you're a Brunswick guy and you couldn't throw an IQ Tour or you couldn't throw a High Road, at one point that was a big disadvantage. I remember working for Ebonite, designing bowling balls, and we were trying to chase High Road, like trying to make a High Road, trying to make an IQ Tour. So I know that there are some situations where that there are these distinct differences. But then there are also situations where each of those companies does make what I would say a high quality good ball. You know, I think Venom Shock from Motive is one of those balls that everybody should probably have. It's a great benchmark ball, whether you like Motive or don't like Motive. I think IQ Tour is in that category. I think Envy Tour from Hammer is in that category. Those balls are just inherently really, really good balls that if you're not on staff, you should at least have those, right?
I agree.
You know, also what's kind of interesting is I think that there is a little bit of change going on throughout the industry in terms of some of the performances in general. I think, you know, I think the brands of Brunswick have really kind of begun to make some more angular pieces, more though so than what they've had in the past. I would say that Storm had made a little bit more of the continuous, less of the angular pieces, but yet I got done throwing Harsh Reality like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, maybe they got something here. They got it goes back to doing this. This is like some of the old Storm balls, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, and Motive hasn't changed a whole lot one way or another. They've got a wide range of product. You know, they've got some earlier rolling hooking balls. That's not true. Motive made a ball, the Evoke ball, and that ball, it hooked a lot, dull, but it had to be dull.
Oh, okay.
Had to be dull. And that ball hooked a whole lot more, maybe than even the other companies' balls. But you couldn't shine that ball. If you shined it, it didn't hook. So it's kind of one of those things where it was kind of either or.
Oh, okay.
So it just kind of, I think the ball companies are actually playing around, like they're playing around with cover stocks. And I think if you were to ask me, like, okay, like if you were to look at the cover stocks in general range, who has the widest range of performance from just the cover, I would say that the companies are expanding it from where they were 2, 3, 4 years ago. And I believe, honestly, that's because of that rule change with the hardness.
Yeah.
I believe the hardness rule change has probably been the most impactful rule change in bowling because it forced the ball companies to go do something with their covers.
Yeah.
All of them. All of them.
I agree.
Some responded faster, some responded slower, some, you know, I mean, Brunswick did the thing with the not reactive balls.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yep. Yep.
You know, like that's a response, right? That's a response. So I think all of the companies, Motive did the thing with the microcell.
Yeah,
with the
polymer,
microcell,
yep.
right? You know, so I feel like within the last 2 years, there has been some cover stock changes. Whereas before I would tell you, I mean, they keep doing the same thing over and over.
But that's good for bowling, though.
I think it is too.
For it needs change. You know, we all want to see something different, the next greatest thing.
Yeah.
Instead of just seeing the same old, the same old. I mean, because when Brunswick put that HK22, I mean, that changed the game for them.
It did.
You know, I mean, I remember throwing those balls when they first came out. I was like, oh man, these balls are like Storm balls. I mean, how they picked up on the friction, like I had never seen that with a Brunswick ball in my life. Mm-hmm. You know, and that was my second stint of being on staff at Brunswick, because I was on staff with them right before they moved to Mexico too. Mm. So, yeah, it really changed the game for them, and then you know, healthy competition. Everybody else has got to do the same thing. They got to figure out their way.
Right.
You know what it reminds me of? Like the late 90s, early 2000s. You know, all the balls were kind of the same. They were similar. And then we had Brunswick came out with the Proactive. And we had all of this expansion in the cover stock technology. And we had all this different stuff.
Yeah,
particle balls.
Particle changed it, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it's an exciting time for bowling, for sure.
I agree.
All right. Well, man, I appreciate you guys having this conversation, and if you guys like this content, man, let us know. Let us know we can do more like this.
So we talked about staff though, but you got a staff. How do people get on your staff?
Hey, man, you know about the CTD staff. It's easy.
For sure.
You know, we're a little different, and the real reason is because like the thought process behind the CTD staff was our goal is just to grow bowling. So though I love you guys as people and I love you guys as bowlers, I mean, y'all not the ones that I'm really going after, to be honest with you, right? I'm going after the average bowler. The guy who gets in, joins the league, and then is like, man, I want to get better. It's kind of like how I am with golf. Like, I'm not good at golf, and I don't have a whole lot of good coaches, right, to help get me better. But if I had a system, a support system,
like this, yeah,
like what we offer, right, for bowling, I would get better faster, and I would like it more. So, obviously getting on staff with us is easy. You just go to our website, you fill out some information, you get into our group. Once you get into the group, now you got access to 240, 250 average players. We got the best player in the world, EJ Tykett, in our staff group who responds to people. We got guys like Simo in there. We got guys like Kyle Troop in there, Marshall Kidd. So you can interact and learn, at whatever skill level you are, right? We got people in there that average 100, and I got people in there that average 250. So, that's what makes us a little bit different. Now,
there's a lot of great information in there, too.
And people go, well, you're paying to be on staff, right? That's the big thing what they say about us. Well, the truth is, when you're on staff,
yeah,
you buy bowling balls.
That is true.
You pay for bowling balls. When you were on staff,
yeah,
you bought bowling balls.
100%.
You bought bowling bags. People are confused about that concept. And my only thing with that is with us specifically, CTD, you pay if you want to. Mm-hmm.
Not
If you want to,
forcing them.
yeah, you don't have to. You can be on there for free forever. If you like our product, then paying to be on staff makes sense because you're getting it at a discount. No different than when you bought bowling balls, you weren't paying retail.
Correct.
You're not
Get 'em
paying
at-
retail.
get 'em at a discount.
You get them
You
at a
get them
discount.
at a discount.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So yeah, I mean that's really, from a CTD standpoint, our goal is to grow bowling, and I believe that providing information, just like this video that these people are watching right now, is the way to do that. There's somebody right now sitting down watching this YouTube video going, "Oh, I didn't know that's what it takes to get on staff, and I want to be on staff." And now they're going to go start a YouTube channel. Now they're going to go hit the lane some more and get better at practice. Now they're going to go run into some more individuals that are in bowling and talk to them. You see what I'm saying? Like that's what we're about doing, and that's why we produce these videos. I mean, this ain't free.
Yeah.
This isn't free to do, but we give it away for free because I believe that's how you grow bowling. And my whole thought, this whole thing is, if you grow the pie, your piece, CTD's piece, will get bigger. So that's why we do it the way we do it.
I love it.
Well, man, I appreciate you guys coming by for this little conversation. If you guys like it, if you like it, watching it, if you want more stuff like this, just let us know. Drop a comment. Tell us maybe leave a comment. Tell us what their favorite company they want to be on staff with if they're not on staff. That'd be good to know.
For sure. Enjoyed it.
Thanks.